Hello, Rafe Blackburn, National World's political editor, and I'm here in Bristol for the start of our series ahead of the local elections on the 2nd of May. Now today I'm here in Bristol and just behind me we have Engineers House, and that is where the Green Party is launching its local election campaign. They used to have the most councillors on Bristol City Council. They were beating Labour by just one. However, because Bristol used to have an elected mayor, the Labour mayor Marvin Rees kind of ran the executive, so effectively ran the council. However, there's been a referendum. Voters voted to get rid of the mayoral system. So if the Greens manage to win a majority next time, they will form the administration, and this would be their biggest city with a majority if they were to win that. As well as that, one of the former Bristol councillors, one of the council candidates, the co-leader Carla Denyer, she is going to be standing in the new seat of Bristol Central. They can believe they can attract disaffected Labour supporters that are unhappy with Keir Starmer, the U-turns around green policy, the stance on Israel and Gaza. They think they can attract those not just in the upcoming local elections but also in the general election. So the party is confident that they can put in a real challenge to win a majority here on Bristol City Council, and they can also have a go at winning their second MP in Parliament. So yeah, let's go hear what they have to say.
I've had the honour of being a councillor in Bristol for many years, and I know just how hard our councillors work to represent the people who live here. We are aiming for a record number of seats in this city and to lead the next administration. We know there is a huge appetite for the bold, progressive approach of the Greens here, like in so many other towns, cities and villages across the country. We go into these local elections with around 760 councillors on nearly 170 councils in both urban and rural settings, and Greens being a governing party in 10% of all councils in England and Wales already.
And despite the sort of grand surroundings, the campaign launch was pretty low-key. There was not a suit to be seen out in sight other than a few of the broadcast journalists. We all kind of filed downstairs, where I was greeted by a very friendly man wearing a green shirt, long hair. He said, "Hi bud, how are you?" It was all very relaxed, completely different to Conservative or Labour events, or even the Liberal Democrats really. They said that when times are hard, you have to show more political ambition. That's basically what a lot of people are accusing Keir Starmer not of doing, not of showing enough political ambition. And their main policy focus was around the housing crisis. They want to bring in rent controls in Bristol and other parts of the country. They want to bring in a thing called the community right to buy, which is where the community and the council basically can buy unused houses or land being sold off to build more council homes. To hear more about it, I asked Green co-leader Adrian Ramsey what make the Greens stand out, and particularly about their housing policies.
We would introduce controls on rents so that people are not being asked to pay exorbitant rents or seeing huge increases coming on board. We would put the investment in place for local councils to be able to build new social housing so more people can get access to a council home, built to a high environmental standard as well, which keeps bills down. And would be far tougher with developers that are building homes for people to buy. And that needs to include building homes that are affordable for people to buy, built to high environmental standards, and with the investment that they should be having to put into those local services, where too often we see homes built without the investment that's needed in local GP surgeries, bus services, school places. We need to be building communities, not just housing. And so the Green Party wants to see developers forced to invest in those services and the affordable housing that people need.
I am up in Knowle in South Bristol, where we are about to go canvassing with some Labour councillors, or Labour council candidates I should say. So it'd be interesting to see how the reaction to Labour here differs with what we found last night down in Hotwells with the Green candidates. It's quite a different area, a lot more deprived, clearly an area that Labour's targeting to make up some ground on the Greens in the local elections on May the 2nd. So yeah, let's go and see what people say.
So our main commitments going into the elections on the 2nd of May are to continue to get more homes built across the city, with a particular focus on building new council homes. So we're pledging to build over 3,000 new council homes over the next 5 years. We also want to really focus in on the issues around climate change, focus on protecting our planet, continue to progress the work we're doing around City Leap, create good, green, unionised jobs that are well paid. We're also going to be focusing on transport. We know it's a key issue for everyone in the city, and so we'll continue to progress mass transit, be evidence-led in how we take that forward, focus on getting more cycling routes, safer walking routes put in, continue our work on rail, and also really what we also want to focus on is addressing crime and issues around that, get police back onto the streets and in neighbourhoods, and work closely with what will hopefully be a Labour Police and Crime Commissioner after May to make that happen.
So I'm back in central Bristol in College Green, just outside the Bristol City Council office, and I'm here to talk to Bristol World's reporter Charlie Watts, who will be giving us some local insight into the race leading up to the 2nd of May elections. So I started by asking Charlie what the state of play is ahead of the local elections here in Bristol.
Yes, I think if you look at the current makeup of the councillors, the Greens are predominantly within Bristol Central, covering some affluent areas as well, whereas Labour will have more of the outskirts of Bristol and perhaps the more working class communities there. So in order for the Greens to increase their majority on the council, they're going to have to gain seats outside of central Bristol, in the outskirts where they've previously struggled to gain any ground at all, really, whether that's the sort of low-income communities in the south of the city, but also in East Bristol, where Labour really occupy all the seats there. So yeah, the Greens are definitely going to have to branch out and try to win over a different type of voter, I would say. So I think the main issue for a lot of people is housing. People want to see more affordable housing in Bristol. We've got a lot of student housing, but many Bristolians are struggling to afford their own home. So they want to see more housing built and at an affordable rate. Public transport is also an issue that many people seem to be concerned about. The Bristol bus network is not very good. A lot of them will say there's been this argument about getting this sort of public there's been this argument about getting this mass transit system for Bristol, potentially an underground. Whether that will happen or not, I think people have doubts, but definitely people want to see improved buses, more cycle lanes, and just addressing general traffic on the road. As well as that, I think crime is becoming more of an issue. I think Bristol's been in the spotlight lately with that, with a number of knife crime incidences, but also murder, quite serious crime going on. So I think people out in communities are saying they want to see, grassroots action to address that, more funding for things like youth provision and measures to tackle the problems that they're seeing out in their streets.
So you can find all of Charlie's reporting on bristolworld.com and make sure you're following him ahead of the local elections on May the 2nd. And I think what he was saying about the different areas that the Greens and Labour are targeting is really what I found when I've been out with the candidates over the last couple of days. The Green Party are targeting some of the more left-wing and liberal voters in kind of central Bristol, West Bristol, the affluent areas around Clifton, while Labour is focusing on kind of more of the suburbs, the part of Bristol that you don't necessarily see on TV shows or postcards, and it will really be tough for each party to kind of encroach into the other's area. And I think we could be seeing for another kind of split administration like we did after the last election. As Charlie also mentions, there'll be no mayoralty this time around. Marvin Rees, there was a referendum on the mayoralty, so Marvin Rees will be ending that role, and it will be managed by committee. So it's looking likely both parties will need to work together to deal with some of the issues that Charlie mentioned, the housing crisis, crime, antisocial behaviour, all of these things which have been coming up on the doorstep. But yeah, some fascinating answers there, and we'll look ahead to the 2nd of May elections to find out who will become the largest party, if there is a largest party. So you can find all of our politics content on nationalworld.com, on the politics page, and you can also subscribe to my Sunday newsletter on our newsletter page. So thank you very much.